Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of the Zero Budget Podcast. Live. My voice has a more grainy feel to it than usual because I'm eating Chick-fil-A, and I got, when like sauce gets in your throat a little bit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I know you know
no,
what
wait,
I'm
what?
talking about. I'm your host, Juptej Singh. With me, as always, is my co-host, Matthew Hanks. Matthew, say hello to the good people.
Hello.
To the good people.
To the good people.
Fantastic. Matt just subbed with Prime. Holy shit. Matt, thank you so much for giving me that $5 a month. Matt, it has been a fucking while since we've been on this bitch.
There's a lot that's happened.
Yeah, there's a lot that's happened. Hold on. So we tried to bring the podcast back like twice, but I never uploaded them because I had no motivation. So that would mean that the last time that we did the podcast is around like December, like before Christmas.
Yeah, roughly.
And the last time we put out a video was the Zero Budget Explains.
Yeah, the Christmas one.
Christmas episode, which was a banger, I must say.
Thank you. I have no more time to do those things right now. How unfortunate.
How have you been since then, my friend?
A lot has changed.
A lot has happened.
In the sense of I'm actually doing things now. I'm now serving in my student government at my university.
Let's go!
Right now, I'm currently pushing for early syllabi access so that the students can get their syllabi early so they can determine what materials they need to get. This would actually help, lower income students because a lot of times they need to go through alternative means to get textbooks and such. So if they can know like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in advance, they can get like a used textbook shipped and have it on time so they're not put at a disadvantage compared to other students. So right now I'm kind of talking to the larger school at my university about that. So that's what I've been doing. That's been taking a lot of time and energy.
How did you get involved with like the student government stuff? I've been curious.
So I have a friend who is in the student government, and they were like, "Hey, we're doing appointments for the student senate right now," and they're like, "You should apply," and I was like, "Okay." So then I applied, and then I went through like committee. They passed me on, and then I went to in front of the Senate, and they kind of basically just did like a confirmation hearing for me, and they said, "We like this kid, put him in."
How much power does student government actually have?
It's complicated. In a lot of ways, we are just like a big advocacy group.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a budget, so like we can like put on events and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think our budget for this year was 12,000 plus, maybe 13,000. So they've done stuff with that.
But like when you say, okay, I'm pushing for early syllabi access, right? In what way could the student government work to enforce that or see that through? Is it just like you guys are a representative body to take things to the real like head honchos, or?
See, that's actually exactly what we are. We are a representative body. We're having elections right now. If you go to my university, please, for the love of God, vote for me. And I am allowed to campaign right now.
Vote Matt.
Hanks 2021. A lot of good colleagues. We have some people running who...
Are you allowed to say anything?
I'm not allowed to attack them personally.
Damn, but you can attack their ideas?
I believe some of their ideas are maybe a little in the wrong direction, to say the least.
Are you allowed to say which ones and what exactly?
No.
Damn.
Well, there has been this weird push from several senators about expanding free speech. And
What is that?
I have no idea.
In what regard?
That is a good question.
Wait, I can attack them, right? You won't get disqualified because I do something?
I suggest you not, but like I guess
Okay.
I can't stop you.
Okay. But like what exactly what are they proposing? What's the
I have no idea specific policy wise. It's just vague.
just
Like
expand
protect
free
speech.
That's it?
Coincidentally, these people also follow people like Turning Point USA.
Who'd have thunk?
So
I have got to say, I am sure damn tired of these commie libs coming in to our college campuses and turning the whole damn school around with their cancel culture bullshit.
no, oh my God, me and my fellow academic committee people are quite distressed at the moment about some things regarding faculty. Oh my!
Oh shit, really?
Give me a rundown real quick. So we have faculty evaluations. You evaluate your professors. Most colleges do.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're changing it this year, or in this semester specifically, basically for them to have less weight. So those evaluations cannot determine who like gets paid, grades, and like who gets fired and stuff. So if you have like a straight up racist professor.
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Wait. So when you say it changes the weight, you don't mean like time. Like it changes how much that evaluation matters?
Yeah, essentially.
Oh.
They actually basically don't matter anymore. Also, there used to be something on the evaluation that allowed students to like grade their professors to like evaluate how well they teach, and now that's getting removed as well. A bit ironic.
That's awful. Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. And now also another huge thing is that those evaluations used to be public. They're now private.
Wait, dude, what? Why are they? Is this something that's happened already, or is this something that people are pushing for?
It is happening this semester. I actually was just in contact with my academic chair because I'm serving on the academic committee.
Okay, and, Flex. Okay, Matt.
We're the chair and the vice chair and I are all concerned with the direction they're taking it. So I love how this just become a town hall.
This would mean that professors are unaccountable to student evaluations.
Essentially, yes.
So how
or like a professor or a professor would have to like do such a terrible job that like the university couldn't ignore it.
How would they then be evaluated? How would their job performance, like what would that hinge on? Oh, great.
That's the thing. We don't know.
So before it'd work like would it be like at the end of every semester, at the end of every class or whatever, like students would fill out an evaluation form?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It would usually
that's kind of how it worked in high school too, right?
I don't remember, honestly.
In high school, I think they would do something like that too, where they sent you like a Google form or some shit like that.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
And they were like, there was like the scale of 1 to 5. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially kind of what this was. But it's also just a general feedback form because I mean, the professors get it back as well.
Yeah.
And like it would have like comment sections where you can like put feedback.
Yeah.
Which would generally benefit the professor and the students. But now this is also, private. So I mean, let's just say like.
So when you say it was public, what does that mean? Where could you access this information?
I'm not 100% sure where you could access it first, but I imagine there's definitely probably like a place in the registrar or something like that.
Gotcha.
Where if you want, it's kind of like a freedom of information kind of thing. Like if you want to like, so it's not like if the it's not like on like some database.
But if you want to access it, you can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you just have to ask them. But now that's not going to be a possibility. So. Especially since the past year with COVID learning, a lot of students have gotten a bit more, or professors have gotten a bit worse at their jobs, or at least a lot of students feel that way. Yeah. So that's probably why they're making this change. They also, I think, maybe
what the fuck?
Yeah,
professors are doing a bad job at accommodating and what's the word I'm looking for? At adjusting to online learning. So instead of making that feedback something that can hold weight, in terms of who you want teaching at your school, you're just going to be like, yo, fuck this.
Yeah,
That's
essentially,
the most annoying thing in the
it's
world.
ironic because students can get kicked out of university for having too low grades.
Yeah.
But professors, no, if they have too low grades, it's fine. Chief. They
Yeah.
have a doctorate.
I know so many people that are like absolutely struggling with school and stuff because I am a person that is absolutely struggling with school because like it's so much. There's like no motivation to do anything when it's online, but like
Yeah.
it's super fucked up that like a teacher could get a pass for that. But there were a lot of things like that. Now that I think back on it, like even in high school, there were a lot
Yeah.
of things that teachers could and faculty could get passes for that students just absolutely could not. And I understand to like some degree that's a necessity. Like you kind of need some sort of leeway for professors and teachers and stuff that you can't necessarily grant to students. But in other cases, it's like really like mental health days or anything like that. Like I feel like faculty is given a lot more leeway on that than students are. I don't know. It's just, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me personally, and yeah, like I actually just got a few emails from the chair and vice chair because I emailed them about it. I was like, what is this? And they didn't realize this was a thing, and now we're going to talk about it in committee, I guess, and see if there's anything we can do about it. So thank you for this town hall opportunity. Any more questions about how student government is ran here at my university?
Matthew, I'm going to give you your chance to campaign, okay? This is going to be the Matt campaign. I'm going to change the title of the stream to Vote for Matt, okay? Hold on. Vote for, and then I'm going to do the number 4. Matt, I'm going to say interviewing student government candidate. Okay? And we're going to make this real good, all right? So Matthew.
Yes.
In talking about your campaign and your push to make your university a much better place for all students, what are your like key policies, your key issues? If I, as a voter, were asking you, Matthew, what you were going to do for me, what are like your top 5 bing bang boom things that you would tell me?
Ooh, top 5. That's good because usually I do top 3, but I'm fine with top 5. I think my number 1 push is something I'm currently doing right now, and I've already laid out, is expanding syllabi access. I'm currently within the talks of the dean of my school, but one of the largest schools here at my university. And I think it's really important, like I've stated before, for all those reasons, helping students be able to access materials sooner and be at less of a disadvantage, especially within reading heavy classes. Also, so students know what they're getting into way beforehand, because sometimes course descriptions are not very detailed / accurate when you're signing up for classes.
Most of the time, from my experience.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So I think would be very good. I think another thing I'm going to push for, I don't think I'll be able to start it this session. It's a little late, but I would definitely try to start it at the start of next session and / next semester, essentially making minors easier to declare. Because here at my university, we are declaring how minors are declared. It's a bit, I don't know what's the word, bad. But basically, you have to fill out like this form, and then you go to the school that you want to declare a minor, and then you have to sit down with an advisor, talk about it for like 5 minutes. You give them the form, and they sign it off, and then they send it to the registrar. I would like to actually use a system another university uses, or use a similar system, where instead of meeting with that advisor and such, you would just like fill out, basically kind of just like a little, like it's just like a point and click, kind of just like, this is the minor I want. Have that sent to the department, they approve it, and then it goes to the registrar. I feel like that would make everyone's lives easier and make people more inclined to declare a minor. So that's like number 2. Number 3, obviously, this is something that was brought up in our presidential debate earlier today, is kind of like reallocating funds. So one of the candidates, I can't remember who, brought up the point of how 50% of our activity fees, which is like, fees you pay to do things, 50% of those goes to athletics. The thing is, 50% of people don't do athletics here,
Yeah,
so that's
cringe.
concerning. Absolutely cringe, my guy.
Well,
So
how much money does athletics bring in? Now it's a debate.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure the number on the top of my head.
Well,
I don't
shouldn't
have
you,
access.
as a student, go? I'm kidding. I'm fine.
Yeah. But I mean, there are definitely other ways to allocate fund. I think one of the biggest ways we can reallocate funds is possibly defunding the Mason Police.
Yo, Matt's a fucking commie, dude. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we necessarily need, because I just accidentally doxed myself, but we'll ignore that. The police department on a campus is like an actual police department, and not like most universities that have just like a security force. It's like they can arrest you, which is like concerning, especially with such a diverse campus, and police. They don't usually go well. So me and a lot of my colleagues feel like it would be way more effective if we took a lot of the funds from there and put it into our mental health services that have been severely underfunded and have had multiple complaints from multiple students. And I don't think it's necessarily the fault of the people who work there. Their resources are stretched so thin because, I mean, we are a very large campus, and with large campuses come with a lot of people with, who need help. So I believe defunding or at least reallocating those funds to make it sound a bit better. Reallocate those funds from the police department into student mental health services is just like at this point necessary, especially with the trauma that a lot of people has faced last year in general. So that was point number 3.
I have a question
right?
on that. I think that was 3. Wait, keep going, and then I'll ask you your question.
Oh, I ask it now.
No, I want the final 2. Answer.
So I think one thing as well.
I think
this
you
was
said,
also
just
brought up.
to recap, I think you said reallocation of funds, making it easier for students to sign up for minors. And you said the thing about it's like on the tip of the tongue.
Syllabi accessibility.
Syllabi. And then did you talk about the transparency thing yet? I know we talked about that like earlier, but did you list that in like your 4 points yet?
That's kind of okay.
All right, we'll just stick with those 3 and then finish off with the 2.
Yeah. So one thing that was brought up in the presidential debate that I fully support is the expanding of lights on campus. We have an issue where like we have a lot of dark areas on campus where like the lights just don't work.
Really?
And this is obviously a pretty huge safety issue for like multiple reasons. Especially since we don't have blue lights on our campus for like legal reasons. It's complicated.
What do you mean you don't have blue lights?
So our campus is deemed too safe for blue lights. Like we don't have like a high enough crime rate. So the university that is near our hometown, right?
Yeah.
You know how they have like just a shit ton of blue lights all across like the streets and stuff. It's just like those poles that have like a blue light on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those just call 911, right? So like you're being like, I don't know, like followed or something.
Mm-hmm.
So my university doesn't have those because we have too low of a crime rate. So, but this is an issue because now we don't even have like working lights on campus. And I've heard from multiple students that this is like getting concerning, especially since sexual assaults are on the rise, and also as it's been pretty popular news, anti-Asian hate sentiment is also on the rise, and my university has a pretty big Asian American population, so that's very concerning.
How do you access like the information for how many of these kinds of crimes are happening?
You would basically, the one good thing I guess that our police department does is actually they report those stuff publicly, like monthly they'll just have this huge list of just like incidents on campus.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good.
And it's all public. It's pretty accessible. You just go to their website and they'll list like the most recent month. So that's kind of usually how you figure out.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I guess it's not like every day someone's getting, well, probably every day is like someone's getting like harassed. Like, it's not like every day like someone's getting like groped and stuff. But I mean, fortunately enough, the university does take a lot of accountability on that, and they, make that information pretty public pretty fast about those kinds of incidents, especially if they're looking for the person that like committed the act. But getting to my point, having lights on campus is generally like a safety issue, even if you disregard, sexual assaults and stuff like that. I mean, just being able to see where you're walking is like a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, dude, I remember when I came up to like visit you, and I was walking back to my fucking car. That was like the scariest walk to my car, and it was like a fairly well lit part of the campus, I would think, right? Like the walk from like your apartment back to my car. I think that's like a decently like well lit part of campus, but it's like there's still like so many areas that are just like just enough in the dark where you have no idea what's about to happen. So that's good.
So
good shit.
And then to my fifth point, I guess. You mentioned it, the transparency. It's exactly what I'm aiming at. I mean, as we discussed, it's kind of ridiculous that professors can just get a pass because things are a bit harder on them, or like that, like maybe students don't take it that seriously, which I don't think is necessarily true. I don't think students just like fill shit out just to like as like NCPs and just feel like So
like it's true that there are some people who do, but I feel like you can generally like gauge out which ones are legit and which ones aren't. Because like most of the time, like let's say people just like fill them out, they'll put like all 5s or all 3s or something like that. But like I feel like usually people have a generally like good grasp of like what the questions are, and they're like maybe they'll fill them out mindlessly, but I think they'll fill them out like fairly
truthfully.
Reasonably.
And so, and I mean, there are a plethora of like transparency issues within an administration. Like board of directors, all their meetings are private, and no public discussion can happen before decisions.
That's very cringe. That's so they can just like cringe.
So they can just like go into a room, close doors, come out with a decision about like something, and you have no say in it, which is like hugely concerning.
I mean, that's like especially your fucking lives that you're talking about, right?
Exactly. It's the well-being of students and how maybe some decisions will affect their next 4 years, so
or more.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do go to grad school to my university. A lot of people go 4 years in grad school. So
I mean, just don't even graduate in 4.
Yeah, exactly. They have a lot of stuff to do. Yeah. So I mean, that is definitely like the biggest things that I would have that I am advocating for. So I guess questions.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you caught me while I was eating. Say something while I swallow.
So there's there. Okay, if you do go to my YouTube, yeah, you're good.
How has being involved in a governmental process and being involved in like decision making and stuff like that on that level influenced both your political leanings and your ideas, like your thoughts on participating in government?
I gotta give props to people in like Congress and stuff. My God, can some of this shit be tedious? But like, I think personally, it hasn't really affected a lot of my politics. I think I still stand generally the same as I usually do on politics. Personally at least. And a lot of ways that I would even approach politics if I held actual like office. I think being in this kind of position makes me understand a bit more why some things happen the way they do. Some other times I just think that some of our elected officials are just very silly.
Amen, brother.
But I think it's also made me realize how it can be a bit tricky to understand truly what all your constituents want, and sometimes you do have to make that decision of like you're not going to be able to please everyone. Let's just be blunt here. You're never going to be able to please everyone in life, but especially if you are doing anything politically, you're always going to piss at least a handful of people off doing so. So you should always go with what you feel is right. And I would define myself as at least somewhat of a populist. I think a lot of my positions are based in like left-leaning populist ideals, and even like my student senator positions, I would argue are very populist, because I do, I stay in pretty good contact with the average student, because I work at the gyms on campus, so I feel like I kind of get like a unique view. Because it's almost like I work with like the proletariats, I'm joshing, but
Nah.
Yeah, nah. No, but it kind of, in a way, it's, since I work with people who have to work during college, they have a very much more like grounded idea of like what they want. Like they don't want sometimes they don't want like these huge like structural changes. Sometimes they just want like their syllabized early, or they just want like the minors declared early. And I think a lot of those small changes, like a lot of the small material changes, can go a long way.
Especially when you're a student, I think, because when you're a student and you're going through essentially even especially if you're living on campus, you're like dealing very closely with what is essentially like a small government, or like a small even like a state structure or whatever. Like a lot of times they have their own like police, they have their own like body of whatever that decides how much you're going to pay, that decides what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it, all this kind of stuff, right? Like you're dealing with a very small sample size of like the real world, basically. But because of the fact that it's so small, a lot of these things can affect you way more heavily than they would out in the real world. So like out in the real world, if let's say I'm working with my job and like Microsoft Word or whatever isn't up to date or some shit like that, right? Then it's like, okay, it's not really that big of a deal, right? But a lot of these like small things can start to add up big time in college, because they'll mean that like either you're unprepared for the real world, for the next level, or it can just mean that like a detriment in the class that you're in. So it's like it's way more important, I think, rather than like some big structural change, because a lot of students won't even engage with that structure to begin with. I think it's way more important to get those little things and get that experience of being a student rounded out, because those are the things that can start to add up, and those are the things that often get neglected by the whatever governing body of the school is.
Yeah, and you kind of even mentioned it's like a little government. We even have a faculty senate, and they actually like vote on like actual policy. It's just like a senate made of like professors and stuff. So like, but the issue is that students don't like them. But yeah, but like, whilst like I would love to see like a restructuring of our mental health facility, at the end of the day, while that would definitely be ideal, just like getting these small things done and kind of building that trust, because that's also another huge issue I'm kind of working on, is kind of the trust between the student senate and the student body, because a lot of them don't care, which I kind of understand.
A lot of them don't even know. Like when you told
a lot of them don't know.
When you told my friends that you were running, they were like, I didn't know we could vote on shit.
Yeah. So, and our Senate sessions are also public, but like no one knows that, because like no one cares or believes that their voice matters. It's kind of like what we have seen for the past 4+ years, or even more, really, honestly. But like kind of like what we saw with both Bernie movements, a lot of people who felt like the voice didn't care, but now may actually be like heard, like came out and not strong enough to, I guess, to beat Joe Biden, but so sad.
Damn. Hey, he could still win.
You can still win. Listen. All that needs to happen is that they need to impeach. What's his name? Blinken, right? Need to impeach Blinken.
Who? What?
The Secretary of State.
Blinkett? No way that's his real
Blinken?
name.
It's Anthony Blinken, something like that.
Secretary of State. The hell? Why is it not popping up? Who is the Secretary of State? Yeah, Antony Blinken. This looks like that. No, it doesn't at all. Actually, I'm taking that back. I was gonna say it looks like the dude from How I Met Your Mother, but it doesn't at all. So, all right. So we need to impeach him.
Yeah, and then Joe Biden just needs to do his thing and leave.
Great.
Kamala Harris also needs to get impeached, right? And then, right.
Uh-huh.
Nancy Pelosi will just bully her because she'll be like, next in line to be president. We'll bully her to pick Bernie as her VP, and then we impeach Nancy Pelosi, and then boom, Bernie's president.
Great.
That's all we have to do.
I'm game. Personally, I'm in.
I'm also in.
Wait, would that really be it? Would he just be president after that?
I guess yes. If all those events did happen, well, I guess a few more things would also have to happen.
He's like,
wait.
He's like fourth in line. No way.
Wait. Anthony Blinken, ignore that because that's not even what you would need to do. You would just need to get Biden and
hold on. United States
Kamala
presidential line of succession. Current order of succession. Bernie Sanders is literally not even in the top. 17 people.
You missed what I just said.
What did you say?
So actually, ignore the Blinken thing because I don't know why I brought him up. Because all you need to do is impeach both Biden and Harris, right, and get them out of office, and then Pelosi would be president, and then Pelosi would pick. You would have to bully her, I guess, but you pick
picking
Bernie for VP.
Gotcha.
And then you would have to impeach Pelosi. And then Bernie's president. That's all we have to do.
Okay. Yeah, in the line of succession. Holy shit. He's not even.
He's not. Well, you would have to be in the cabinet.
Yeah, and he's not. Stupid Bernie. Pete Buttigieg would be president before Bernie. He's not good.
Oh, Pete.
Merrick Garland could be president.
Any more questions?
I think that's everything I got.
Fair enough.
There's no one in chat, so I would assume that none of them have anything either. But Matt, what did we do this week?
Not sleep.
What's the other thing that we did this week?
You mean last week?
Well,
I did it last week.
That would be within this week. Within this past week.
Are we talking about the Snyder Cut?
Yeah, we're talking about the Snyder Cut.
I watched it last week.
No, you watched it within the past week.
I guess
watched it within the last 7 days. You fucking moron.
I mean, okay, whatever.
Sorry, vote for Matt.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay, so we watched the Snyder Cut. So I actually watched more than just a Snyder Cut. Because I hate myself. So I watched first of all, just to give some background real quick, I was super hyped about the Snyder Cut coming out. And it's not because I liked any of the movies that he had come out with before then, because I watched Man of Steel 5 years ago. I watched Batman v Superman twice, the regular and the Ultimate Edition. Or I watched the regular one once and then the Ultimate Edition once, and I hated them both. But all of the behind the scenes shit that went on in in Warner Brothers and with Joss Whedon and all that stuff made me really depressed. That was terrible hearing that. After everything that they put Zack Snyder through. So I was fucking hype as hell to see this movie come out. So I decided to rewatch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, the original Justice League, and then this new Justice League, which is 11 hours of content that I got through in a few days.
I did not do that.
Yeah, you just watched the regular movie like a cuck little soy boy.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Anyways, so I guess should we get into first impressions then? I guess.
Yeah, let's get into first impressions. How did you like The Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
So for context, I never watched the original Justice League. Like I knew the plot and everything. Like I know how everything went down, and I knew like why people didn't like it. So like I understand. Like so, I guess the things I didn't like. I don't really like Zack Snyder's style.
No spoilers yet.
Oh, okay. I don't like Zack Snyder's style. A lot of the time, personally. A lot of slow mo still. Very much didn't like it.
So much slow motion.
Slow mo.
It was like every other scene. There was something slow motion. Bruh.
I swear it was like 30 minutes of slow motion.
There was, I think it literally was. I think they did the math. They said like 10% of the movie was slow motion. And in a 4-hour movie, that shit starts to add up, okay?
Yeah.
There was literally one scene where I think Steppenwolf pushed somebody off of their horse, pushed one of the Amazons off of their horse, and all of that was in regular speed, but then just like them on the ground was slow motion. It was the goofiest thing I've ever seen. I was like, why? What was the point of that?
The soundtrack, in my opinion, was very repetitive. I think you may have seen a few memes of like anytime Wonder Woman's on screen, it just goes and it's like after like the third time, I'm just like, okay, it's like this is getting tedious. It was very desaturated, which I like. I know it's like I guess to make it more realistic, but I don't know. It made it look boring to me and visually disinteresting for a lot of it, and also sad. Just looks sad. What's another thing? I guess the length. It is pretty long. I think like it didn't necessarily need to be that long in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of scenes that definitely could have been trimmed down, or maybe even just removed. But and especially like the first half, like the first hour and a half to 2 hours is pretty wishy-washy. The second half is much better in my opinion. I think that's where it gets really good. I guess the good, it's fun. There's a lot of action. There's some plot points added. I think that does help the story. There's some backstories that are very much fleshed out, much better. I like a lot of the redesigns, especially Steppenwolf. Even though I don't necessarily like that he's just a hulking gray monster.
Dog, they butchered Steppenwolf in the first movie. Can we show? I'm gonna try to get like a side by side.
Yeah, it is a bit weird because like Steppenwolf a lot of the new gods in the comics are all just like humans, or at least like human looking, besides Darkseid, including Steppenwolf, which is weird why they just made him like a monster both times. But I think it's even weirder that Joss Whedon made him like a human monster. Like he just looks like a guy, but like his skin's gray, And that shit looked weird. So I think if you're going to go with like the gray like reptile skin, you should definitely just go.
Well, no, they didn't do reptile skin. They did like his his armor. That was his armor. The little like moving spike.
No, I'm not talking about the spike.
Oh, okay.
But no, like like how Joss Whedon, it basically is just like whoever actor that is. It's just his face. It's just his face, but like in gray and it's like rough.
Oh, you're talking about Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks weird. Yeah,
it did look really weird.
I at least appreciate that like they try to make his design look unique in this Snyder. I don't think I necessarily even like
side right now, dude. Holy shit. They fucking destroyed Steppenwolf in the first movie. Oh my god. Like Steppenwolf was originally like in the Snyder cut, Steppenwolf is this massive hulking strong-jawed Chad of a figure, and in the original one he's like a fucking beta cuck, dude. He's just some guy, and it's like the reason this is important is because the whole movie in the Snyder cut version, at least, he is an actual threat. He is someone to fear, right? And in the first one they kind of tease that a little bit, but he ends up just being another lackey, which is awful. But in the new one, he's a gorgeous hunk of a man.
I don't necessarily. I think I like the armor in the Zack Snyder one, but I think it's still much better than the other one. I don't know. I don't like how it's just like a bunch of knives. I don't know. I feel like it could have been a bit more clever with it.
I think it looks,
but it's fine.
I think it looks pretty cool.
I like how it retracted. That was
I like how
cool.
it moves. I think I like that it moves like an organic being or something. I like that.
I loved the Superman suit. I don't think that's as much of a spoiler. They advertised that.
Yeah.
But I think the black suit's very cool. It's very in line with the comics because when Superman came back after Doomsday killed him, he was wearing the black suit. It's pretty cool. I like it. I liked also. Well, I guess it's a bit more spoiler, so I'll save that for later. But yeah, I guess if I had to give it a rating, I'd say like a 7 out of 10.
Oh shit! Steppenwolf is actually just some fucking guy in the comics.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think I like this a lot better. I don't like that he's just some dude.
Well, all the new gods are just dudes, besides like Darkseid.
Yeah, I don't think I like that though. I think this is a lot better. The idea of him being like, I understand like its utility in the comics, but I think like the story that kind of Snyder is telling, with like these like fucking crazy ass aliens and all this fucking bullshit, right? Like I think it works better for his case, you know what I mean, than for it to just be some dude.
Fair. Yeah, so I mean, what was I getting at? Darkseid's pretty cool.
Yeah,
he's not in it much, but like he's cool.
Yeah,
I guess he's just there. He kind of is just there, honestly.
Yeah,
he's very much like a Thanos kind of character.
Yeah, he's just Thanos.
Yeah,
like Thanos in the original Avengers. He plays pretty much the same role. Steppenwolf. Are you done with your thoughts, and I can get to mine now?
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, cool. So my thoughts after watching Man of Steel. So I fucking hated Batman v Superman. I promise you I hated that movie. But watching it directly after Man of Steel and watching the Ultimate Edition, which is Snyder's cut, made that movie so much fucking better. Holy shit. It's weird because Zack Snyder tells stories in like the least efficient way possible. But they're really good stories. So it's almost as if he's telling this whole like overarching story of the DCEU in like an episodic way. So like Man of Steel is episode 1, Batman v Superman is episode 2, and then Justice League, like it's split up into parts, so I guess you could call it a bunch of different episodes, but like it's almost like a show, right? But that's like a really ineffective way to watch it. Like you can't sit there and watch like 9 hours of content all in one go, but it really makes the experience a lot better. So I really liked Justice League. I thought it was a huge fucking improvement from the first one. We'll go to what I liked and what I didn't like. We'll start with what I didn't like. I didn't like the ending. I thought
really
we'll talk about the ending in spoilers, but I really didn't like
which part of the ending, because it's like three parts of the ending. That's
what I didn't like.
like the ending. I
didn't like that
the
there were like
epilogue?
5 or 6 different endings. Yeah, I didn't like that the epilogue was like half an hour long.
That's kind of what I get when I mean like time. But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. The 4 hours thing worked for me. I did take a day break. Like I watched I was ready to watch all 4 hours, but then I think I got like pretty sleepy around the 1.5 hour mark. So I took not a nap. I went to sleep, woke up the next day, went through my day, and then I started watching it again at night. I finished it like last night.
I actually will admit about the time. While it is long, I personally was actually able to watch it in one sitting, and like I didn't even realize it was 4 hours. Mm-hmm. But like I knew like it kind of was one of those things where it's like it didn't feel like slow, but I knew time was passing, if that makes sense. Yeah, kind of like what I felt like at Endgame.
That's exactly it. Because even like I don't think I slept because it was too long. I think I slept just because like I'd started watching it when I was already tired and I just didn't realize that. But the first like hour and a half, I kept like pausing just to see how much time had passed, and I was like genuinely shocked that much time had gone by, because I was like, this is moving very easily. Like, I would say smoother than Endgame, because Endgame felt more as if there were a lot of unnecessary scenes, a lot of extra padding, and weirdly still a lot of stuff that wasn't fleshed out or explored in any meaningful way. Whereas this felt like it was taking its time telling you the story in a really interesting way. Like, it felt like you were gliding through it, which was nice. And then the pace, of course, starts to pick up towards the end too. Just the original Justice League was 2 hours and it still felt really rushed. This one, it's like the story's not drastically different or anything. There are a couple things that are different here and there, but overall, it's just giving you more time with each of the characters, with each of the plot points, to really like understand and believe all of it. Cyborg's story was amazing in this one. And in the first one, he was glossed over. He was like an afterthought. But in this one, like Zack Snyder said, he's like the heart of this movie. He really is like the heart of this movie. He's almost the main character. Like, this could almost be a Cyborg movie, and I'd buy it. What didn't I like? What else didn't I like? Some of the dialogue was fucking cringy, dude.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue sucks. Like, there's one scene where Wonder Woman goes to this little girl, and this little girl's like scared or whatever, and she's like, "Can I be like you?" And then Wonder Woman's like, "You can be anything you want to be." And then like the Wonder Woman music starts playing, and it's like, all right, all right. It's like, all right, okay, I get it.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Little woke SJWs coming in to take my Wonder Woman away. But overall, I don't think I have too many gripes with it, just because I think it's such an amazing accomplishment that this was able to be made, and that Zack Snyder was like able to tell the story that he wanted to tell. I think that's a really cool thing and something that we should celebrate. That being said, I don't think this movie should have been made like originally.
Yeah.
I don't think I understand why Warner Brothers didn't want to make a 4-hour epic about like all these different like intricate moving parts and all this stuff. Like, that's a huge gamble. That doesn't justify any of their treatment of him, and it doesn't justify him not being able to tell his story. But I get why
they're hesitant.
Yeah, they were hesitant. Yeah.
I think, well, yeah, we all know it's the kind of like the story of why Justice League kind of happened is because, you know, like Avengers and stuff. Because Justice League came out a year before Infinity War, or did it come out the same year? Was Infinity War 2017 and 2018?
I think Infinity War was 2018.
Yeah, because Endgame was 2019, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, this was coming out late.
It did come out because of that. Because I've been listening to some of like Zack Snyder's interviews and stuff. And it seems like he was pretty unconcerned with what Marvel was doing. Like, he doesn't like shit talk Marvel ever. I think like recently he's even come out like saying amazing things about Marvel. But I think from one of the interviews that I've seen with him, he pretty openly acknowledges like, hey, I never set out to like imitate Marvel or anything, because that's what everyone else is going to do. Like that's sure. Kind of let me actually see if I can look this up to Zack Snyder Marvel. Hold on. I can't find it like immediately, so I'm just gonna move on.
I mean,
yeah, he said something
that's fair.
He said something along those lines, but yeah.
I think that's kind of a misstep in my personal opinion. I think, especially since we saw how good like the cyborg. Are we talking spoilers now?
Yeah, spoilers.
Okay, spoiler warning. Wee woo, wee woo,
wee woo, wee woo. And now go.
Yeah, so I mean, like the cyborg story is so intriguing. And I feel like that could be honestly its whole movie. You know?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like him gripping with the reality of just like his new life and stuff. Because I mean, like, I think while it was very good in Justice League, I think that it could have gone way more in depth.
Oh, Ray Fisher was
And
awesome, dude.
yeah, he really carried it, honestly. It's
Here it is.
Oh.
When asked whether Snyder had intentionally framed the DC heroes as grander and more epic to contrast from how Marvel portrayed its heroes, Snyder said when they were making Man of Steel, he knew that Marvel is doing something else. They're doing, at the highest level, this popular action comedy with the heart, and they have it nailed. An effort to duplicate that is insanity because they're so good at it. What DC had was mythology at an epic level, and we were going to take them on this amazing journey. But then Snyder ended his answer by saying, frankly, I was the only one saying that. But honestly, I think he hit the nail on the fucking head there in that like analysis of DC versus Marvel. Because in a lot of ways, they're not even really comparable. Sure, they're doing like superhero things, but I mean, you can really see it here. And I've been thinking about it a lot more in seeing things like this character versus this character from Marvel and DC. Like, any DC character would wipe the fucking floor with any Marvel character.
I wouldn't say any.
Like pretty much any DC character would wipe the floor with Marvel characters. And it's because DC is this grand mythological idea of superheroes with like maybe human stories at their heart, whereas Marvel is more of a human, everyman kind of idea of a superhero who are tackling grand issues that often replicate their own like sort of personal struggles. So I think like he absolutely hit that like right on the fucking hit the nail right on the head there. And you can totally see that in Justice League. There's a lot of like really mythological moments, and the whole story, the whole like you can almost see like you can almost see it as like a trilogy. The whole thing is like dealing with this idea of like gods on Earth and like the whole Lex Luthor thing and all that, whatever, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think some of the like the best Superman comics are when Superman has to kind of gripe with his like godlike abilities, but with his human emotions.
Sure, I agree. I do agree.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess back to like the actual film. I guess let's talk about like more in detail what we didn't like, because I mean, like, guys, negativity is more popular.
So I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, which part specifically? Just like the ending.
So I didn't like. Again, spoilers. I didn't like any of the Martian Manhunter stuff. Really? I thought that was really goofy. Where fucking the first scene that he was in, where he's talking to Lois Lane, pretending to be Martha Kent. And like it's a really nice scene, and you're like, wow, that was an amazing interaction. And then she comes out and her eyes turn red, and I was like, holy shit, is she Kryptonian? I thought they were gonna throw us for a loop there. And then she turns into this fucking guy, like this hulking alien figure. I thought that was dumb as fuck, because then that also insinuates that this dude is like pulling out his best acting chops in order to fucking convince Lois Lane. I thought that was dumb.
I think it's and there's not much justification why he wouldn't help the Justice League.
Yeah, there's nothing given. And then at the end, after this world-threatening battle to decide the fate of like pretty much the universe, then Martian Manhunter's like, hey dog, if you need me, I got your back. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. What?
Yeah, I mean, like, totally agreed. That whole I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily a fan of the nightmare sequence as well. In total,
I didn't like that.
You could definitely tell that was all reshoots.
It was a good scene. I thought the Joker was dumb.
There was so many people on Twitter who were like, "Oh my god, Jared Leto, when he's given a good strip, he's good." I was like, "It's all right at best."
This is like definitive proof that Jared Leto is the worst Joker. He's awful. That dude who was laughing, that dude who was fake Lex Luthor, was a better Joker than Jared Leto in this movie.
Yeah, one of the biggest, I think the script actually was pretty good for the Joker. One thing I did like about it was that it's not like, it wasn't like the traditional, like, "Hi, Batman, me and you are the same." You know, it was kind of just like when like Batman's like, "I'll fucking kill you."
Yeah.
Joker's just like, "No, you won't." Like, I know you won't. Like,
It felt
that would be cool
like it was
if it
teasing
was like
towards
from
Heath
like a
Ledger
better
little bit.
actor.
Yeah, I don't like Jared Leto. I also think Jared Leto's a bit scummy. Like he did some really weird shit all in the name of method acting. Like he sent people like used condoms or whatever, and he was like, I'm getting into character." Like, dog, fuck you. Don't do that shit,
Dude.
weirdo.
That's just weird.
Also,
You're just
his
weird.
laugh. Can I pull up his laugh?
Oh my, his laugh is so bad
He
and
has
dumb.
the worst Joker laugh. Oh.
Ah, ah, ah,
Ah,
ah,
ah. And then this one, it was weirdly, I don't know what he did. He made it even worse. Let me see if I can share my screen with you or something, or share my audio. The Jared Leto Joker
Bye.
laugh. Okay. Who? Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. It's the first one.
Okay. Why is his laugh so quiet in all of these? You can barely hear it.
I need a machine gun.
And then in Justice League, they made it worse. It literally sounds worse. Here it is. He sounds like a dying dog.
Where are we holding up? Somewhere I'll never suspect.
Shut the fuck up, dude. You're not menacing. You just sound like a bitch. Yeah, no, I didn't like that scene. I thought
That
it was
definitely
I thought it was a
it
good
could've been
scene. It was just really weird.
It was 30 minutes to like the runtime. That was not necessary. I think even like the ending, like with like Cyborg's dad narrating over, was like
that
a bit
was
long.
really corny. Yeah, that whole thing was
Yeah.
really corny. There were a lot of really corny things like that.
Yeah.
Where again, like every time Wonder Woman comes on, and then the you get the Wonder Woman music. That worked a couple times where it actually made me go fucking sick.
Oh.
Where it was like, yeah, that was epic. But I think after that first like Steppenwolf fight scene, it went downhill for me.
Yeah.
From there.
I mean, I liked Flash's actual inclusion in the final battle. Instead of him just saving everyone, he was like running in circles trying to do shit. And then he did
too.
like the
time
Flashpoint
shit.
Paradox kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I like that too. It's a nice like teaser, but I thought that segment went on way too long, and it was pretty corny. Where it was just Flash like in slow motion, like be your future, but he had like 5 or 6 lines like that, where it felt like it couldn't. Like Zack Snyder couldn't decide exactly which line he wanted him to say, so he just left
chose
all of them in. Yeah,
and then
I
made
didn't
the whole
like
sequence
that.
like a minute long or something.
I didn't like the way that they included Superman in this one either, because it felt way too much like the first one, and I didn't like what they did with the first one.
I think that was just Zack Snyder's plan then. I think the entire
think
time just
so
to have him brought
too.
back.
Well, in the first one, it was like definitely different, but I still don't like.
Well, I think the biggest difference is that like Wonder Woman and Aquaman actually helped Superman fight.
Yeah, but
It was just like
I don't.
They
like
were struggling.
The whole,
then
I don't like the whole like Superman is like Deus Ex Machina or something like
he's
that.
I think Snyder fell into like the Goku Trap, where like if you're not sure what the Goku Trap is, about to explain it. Basically, just where like the main cast is having issues beating very powerful men, and then in Dragon Ball Z, Goku would just come in and just like, wipe the floor with them. But in this case, he'd be Superman, you know? And like, I kind of get the point, like, Steppenwolf and company were waiting for Superman to die or leave to invade Earth because they knew they were very spooked by him. But alas.
It's like I somewhat understand that, but also like you run into the problem of what is the point of there being a Justice League if
Superman could just do it.
Yeah, because then it's
like, okay. And I think
it's that issue they're all kind of serving their roles a little bit. We're like, okay, Cyborg is the only one that can do this thing, and Flash is the only one that can come in with the charge and whatever. But then Batman's like what? Just like a central planning figure.
He's
Batman
just
is like
shooting
Alfred
people.
Now. Yeah. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are unneeded. If
they're just weaker
there.
Superman. Yeah.
If Superman's there, he can just fucking dog everyone. They're literally, and it was like a cool visual. It was cool seeing this, but there was literally a point towards the end of the movie where Superman has Steppenwolf like pinned down to the ground, and he literally just keeps like laser beam punch, and that's how he's holding him down. It's like every time he gets up, he just laser beam and punches him, and like that's the end of the movie.
I think there was some pretty good choreography. My bad. Sometimes, but yeah, like kind of like that. Some of that Superman stuff. He's just like,
he just comes in out of nowhere and just the headbutt off was fun. Where Superman and Wonder Woman had a little headbutt battle. Yeah, but then Superman just fucking dogged her.
Yeah,
so
like
what's the
did
point?
not even. Also, I think one thing that also kind of is like that. I think they made the villains just maybe a bit too weak in general, because like even Darkseid was like dogged on when he came to Earth. I mean, I get like he was facing the old gods, but like I don't know, like he just got like shit on, and then he just like dipped. So like would that just happen if like again if Superman was fighting Darkseid, or I'm assuming they're implying that Darkseid has gotten more powerful.
I don't know, man, but
yeah.
Like, I feel like I liked this movie, but I don't like maybe the implications of this movie on this universe.
Yeah.
Because I thought the whole point of, like, Batman versus Superman was, like, okay, like, man versus God. Like, what would be the reaction of men if, like, God himself was before us? And it was, like, sort of to humanize Superman more. Because it's like, hey, Batman literally almost fucking killed him. Like, he was inches away from murdering Superman. The only reason why he didn't is because Batman stopped seeing him as a god and started seeing him as a human, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole, like, point of Batman v Superman. And then in this one, he's just God again. They're like, hey, we really need... we can't do this without Superman. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think... I actually watched Cosmo Variety Tower's review on this, and I think I actually very much agree with it, basically point for point. And he kind of mentioned just like, yeah, if you're like invested in the Snyderverse or in any of these characters, you'll probably like this film. But if you're not, you can probably just skip it, you know? Like, and I think I totally agree. Like, I'm like I like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, all those kind of characters. But like, if I didn't, I definitely wouldn't have watched this nor enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Which I think is not necessarily true for like a lot of other films, even within DC or stuff. Because I think a lot of people can watch Joker.
I do think it's a very good movie. But that, I mean,
I wouldn't say very good.
I think it's a very good movie.
I think it's definitely one of his best.
Yeah, I think it's a
undoubtedly
very competently told story. It's a very like, and you can tell that there was like a lot of love put into this project and a lot of love for these characters. Like you can tell that Zack Snyder feels something for each of these characters, right?
Yeah.
But I think you can say that about any franchise. Like, who the fuck is gonna sit down and see like? I guess the difference with the Endgame is that it had like a lot of cultural relevance, but let's say it didn't, right? Like, who the fuck is gonna sit down to see fucking Endgame?
Well, that would be kind of like the issue, though, you know, because like, why would I care?
Yeah,
you know, if I didn't have these like and also, you know, the Snyderverse only is what, 3 films?
Yeah. And you wouldn't give
You
a
know.
fuck about Justice League either. Just like you wouldn't give a fuck about Batman if you didn't give a fuck about these characters. Batman v Superman. Like I think it is like somewhat reliant on your knowledge and the cultural relevance of the characters, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Just like Endgame
Yeah, I mean,
was entirely reliant on the cultural pervasiveness of Marvel and where it's gotten to this point.
I guess what I'm getting at is not necessarily like a relation to like the characters in general, but to these like specific interpretations of these characters. You know, I would probably not like Iron Man as much in the MCU if it was played by like Tom Cruise. You know,
Sure.
Robert Downey Jr. You know is like the pinnacle Iron Man for like a reason. In the same way, like Chris Evans is like the pinnacle Captain America for a lot of people.
Sure.
And so on and so on. You know, a lot of people are wishy-washy on like Ben Affleck as Batman. You know, a lot of people don't like the interpretation of Batman in Batman v Superman. You know, so they may not necessarily like this universe. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, if you're not like connected to this universe, like, or this interpretation, the Snyderverse essentially, then I don't think you're necessarily going to like Justice League. But I mean, like I said, I think it's a fine film. I think it's definitely probably one of the best 4-hour films I've seen, since it's probably the only 4-hour film I've seen. I don't think it's necessarily better than like something like Endgame. I think it's much more competently told. I don't. I think the only reason I think it's not better than Endgame, at least personally, is because Endgame does feel like a much better payoff.
Yeah, that's fair. The Endgame did have a pretty good payoff.
Like you know, it was 10 years of like 20 movies.
Yeah.
You know,
and it
well,
also
this is like
the ending. It felt like they were literally just throwing shit at the wall to be like, "Yo, what's the coolest fucking thing we could possibly do? Let's give Captain America the fucking hammer. Let's go in." It felt like that's the kind of shit that they were doing, which was fun.
And like, and this was obviously setting up a sequel or a continuation of the story, at least,
which I don't even know if we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in. Restore the Snyderverse, okay?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind it. I
would love to see it. I think it's after everything that we've heard about, like Joss Whedon and Warner Brothers and stuff like that. I would love to see a continuation of this story, because I think, like, I didn't give a fuck about the continuation of this after watching the original Justice League, and it actually made me nervous as to what this Justice League was going to look like. But there was so much more time. Like, I know we've talked a lot of shit, but there was so much more time spent on each moment that I think paid off. I think most of the moments deserved that. Most of the relationships and most of the story points deserved that time to flesh it out and to give some context, I think, and make you really believe and feel for these characters. So I'm down to see what comes next, I think.
Yeah, I actually would love to see like a Green Lantern film by Snyder, honestly.
That would
especially
be
since he
dope.
wanted to, especially since he wanted to include Green Lantern in the original cut. I'm not sure which one though. I
heard he wanted Ryan Reynolds in.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think that'd be too weird. I think Ryan Reynolds is too comedic of a person, like kind of like his like persona.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think I want to see him playing like a Zack Snyder superhero. I don't know.
Yeah, he does a good job
Snyder,
as
I know, Zack Snyder, I know you're listening. I know you're watching. Okay, please recast Jared Leto. Holy fuck! I won't even bat an eye. I'll pretend it never happened. Just recast him, please,
bro. Can we? I think me and a lot of other people I think recently have more appreciated Henry Cavill's playing of Superman.
Yeah, I think he's great. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, I think it captures a lot of what made some like Christopher Reeve's Superman pretty popular. Kind of like, you know, like this struggle of like being a man out of world, I guess. A fish out of water, you know, situation. Like trying to cope with his humanity, but also like the struggles of trying to help everyone, you know. I don't know.
I think I'm still torn on Ben Affleck's Batman.
Well, he's not coming back, so
well, he might. He came back for this, and it's apparently they're thinking about casting him in Flashpoint.
Are they making Flashpoint?
Yeah, it's coming out in 2022. Still, yeah, I don't know. I've heard so many like behind the stage nightmares about that, but apparently they
I don't
are,
know. I
and
feel like
they're thinking of bringing Ben Affleck back, and Ben Affleck like actually likes this movie, so who knows?
yeah. I mean, I also heard that they were casting what's his face who played Batman in '89.
Michael Keaton.
Keaton. I've heard that as
Yeah,
well. Like he's gonna be like.
I've also heard that. I mean, it's gonna be some weird time shit, so who knows?
Well, they may do something where Keaton is Dad Batman and Ben Affleck is regular.
No,
Batman.
I thought that other dude was supposed to be Dad Batman,
Affleck.
the man with the mustache. What's his name?
Who's the man with the mustache?
He played his dad in Batman v Superman. Who am I thinking of?
Oh, I don't know.
You're gonna make me look this up, you fucking asshole.
We can. It's not really that deep. We'll figure out the cast list when it
Who
actually comes up.
played-
About
What's
that.
his name?
Okay.
Who played Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman v Superman? Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah. I heard he was gonna he's from The Walking Dead. He's a very familiar looking face. He's from Watchmen. Have you seen Watchmen?
The Snyder one.
Yeah.
I guess that's the only one I think about it as.
Yeah, he was in
I've always tried to watch Watchmen, but I can never get through it. I don't know.
he was one of like the main characters in Watchmen.
Anywho,
Yeah. So yeah, I heard they were gonna make him Dad Batman, but I don't know. There's a lot of I'm very nervous for Flashpoint.
Yeah, I think DC is now going to almost maybe permanently go down the rated R route because their rated R films are like popular.
Yeah.
I mean, Joker obviously is the highest grossing rated R film of all time. I imagine this is getting a lot of praise from both critics and audiences, you know. And honestly, actually, one thing I will also give Zack Snyder, even though it's rated R, it's not like super edgy or anything.
It's
you
not.
know, I was expecting like maybe more like swear words and much more blood, but I mean, like, yeah, this is a decent amount of blood, but like it's never like gross, you know.
Yeah, there's never a point where you're like, damn. Like,
Damn,
like I
Chief.
was even wondering to myself why this wasn't PG-13, and I think it's literally just because Batman says fuck twice, and I think that's the limit. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to say fuck.
He says
once in a
that. He says that.
PG-13.
I think a couple more times.
No, he says.
I think.
It twice.
I feel like
No,
Aquaman says. said it once.
yeah, I think Aquaman says like "fuck that" or something like that, and then Batman.
Oh,
says,
no,
"I'm gonna
it's
fucking
Cyborg.
Kill you towards the end.
Cyborg says "fuck the world" and then he flies
Fuck the
off.
world. Yeah, he says "fuck the world," and then Batman says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you" at the end.
Yeah,
And I think
I'm
you're
gonna
only allowed to
fucking
say
kill
it
you.
twice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the reason I'm torn on Batfleck is because I think the interpretation of Batman that I grew up with was very much like the Kevin Conroy-esque Batman, the Arkham Knight Batman, the one from like the cartoons and all that kind of stuff, right? And this like he's very much like a stoic individual in and out of the mask. He's very I don't know, not necessarily serious, but you know what I mean? Like even his jokes are more like sly and clever rather than like outright jokes or anything like that. And it feels like this Batman feels a lot more like a real person. But it's it's a bit of like a culture shock, I feel like.
yeah, what we kind of talked about like mythos and stuff, but does this kind of like realistic kind of interpretation work in that kind of context? You know, if everyone's like
I think
a grand god.
See, that's what I'm kind of trying to battle with, is because I think that there are some moments with Batman, with all of the heroes in this movie, where it's almost like it was ripped straight out of a comic book panel, or you're looking at it and you're like, wow, that is like an epic sight to see. Like that is something that looks mythological or godlike or something, right? So I think Zack Snyder did like a really good job there, but it's weird because he also does try very, very hard to humanize each and every one of these characters. Like Superman obviously has like 2 movies worth of humanizing him. Batman feels more like a real person that like is still a little like movie-ish, but he feels more like a real person. Diana could be a real person.
Yeah.
Barry Allen is just like this fucking kid who's looking out for his dad. Cyborg is this like
Probably the most realistic, honestly, in my
probably
opinion.
yeah the most humanized character in these movies. But then they go into battle and they have these huge grand moments of war. So I think it works for everyone, but I don't think I'm sold yet on Batman. And weirdly enough, I think this movie like pushed me back on being sold with Superman. I don't know.
I kind of understand that because like everyone's kind of like improved a lot from Justice League, and Superman's kind of the same. But I think that's
Yeah.
also just because he's like not in it that much
Yeah.
compared to all the other
big
characters.
improvement that I found with Superman, and this was like a huge frustration for me in the first movie, was that Batman and Lois Lane originally in the first movie had like an agreement, or they had like a pact, where it was like off screen. I think this happened where basically Lois Lane would come in and calm down Superman, and then they would go back to the farm, and then Lois Lane tells Superman like, hey, you gotta go, that was a part of the deal. Okay, I made a deal with Batman. And then Superman was like, well, I guess I owe him one, right? And then he went, and it was like supposed to be. But in this one, Lois sees what's happening and she naturally goes to Superman because it's the person that she fucking loves who just come back to life. And he calms down after seeing her and whatever. And then he himself goes, listen, guys, they brought me back for a reason. I have to find out who that is. And then you hear the echoes of, I think it was Jor-El, or was
Jor-El,
it? No,
yeah.
it was. I think it was,
I think it was both. It was both of them.
Yeah,
It was
or
Jor-El
his Earth
and
father too.
Jonathan
That
Kent.
said something like, "You were sent here for a reason. You owe it to yourself to find out what that is," and stuff like that. I think that was so much like such a better character moment, and again something that grounded Superman and humanized him, rather than this god has come and bestowed upon us his presence, and now the woman that he loves must tell him that he has to go in order to pay off a debt or something to humanity. Instead he's like, hey, this is my obligation to humanity, which I liked.
So again, this film didn't need to be 4 hours long. It definitely could have been like 3.
I think like 3.5 max, but
take
hey, good
take
for
some of that
Zack
slow mo
Snyder.
shit out.
Good for Zack Snyder. Okay.
Yeah, it's not very often you can really flesh out your full dreams and stuff.
Yeah. Also,
It's kind of why
RIP
usually I give George. Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. to his daughter. That's really tragic. That was a really tragic thing.
Yeah.
You got anything?
I mean,
else?
that's kind of. I mean, not necessarily. I was going to say that's kind of why I give people like George Lucas some respect, even though if you don't really like the prequels, it is his vision, and like he was able to like do it without any studio interference.
Yeah, I think I do think that's dope. Like the movie sucked, the original movie, the prequels. I didn't like them too much, but good for George Lucas. Good for anyone that gets to tell their story, because especially now that's tough with all this like
It's
studio
hard.
shit going on.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And that's the official Zero Budget Podcast stance. You got anything else, Matthew?
I don't think I do. I work in the morning and I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I'm a little sleepy too. I don't think I have anything else. So thank you, everybody, for watching the newest episode of the Zero Budget Podcast live or listening. Matthew, tell them where they can find you.
On my Instagram at Matthew_L_Hanks.
You can find me on my Instagram at Juptej or on my Twitter at Juptej. I also stream here, twitch.tv/Jupocracy every now and then. So you can find me there. You can find us on YouTube, Zero Budget Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. Or I think even on RSS, Zero Budget Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Zero Budget Pod, Instagram, Zero Budget Pod. You can join our Discord, which should be in one of the links somewhere. And I think that's all she wrote.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Love you. Bye.